Hey, everybody, how's it going? This is Coach Anthony with Facilitate the Process. So, I just wanted to come here to talk about a little bit about the recruiting process as normal, right? This time of year is very rough for a lot of folks, and for those that don't know why, because sometimes the student athletes and the parents and the coaches, for that matter, don't know where the student athlete is going to end up after this season, right? Especially if they are a senior. Well, seen in a couple of groups where quite a few of the student athletes were unsigned, and that's sort of a problem. It's the same thing. I want to say year in and year out. It's the same thing. Student athletes go their whole entire freshman, sophomore, junior year, and then get to that senior year, and there's no traction with their recruiting process. And the problem with that is that think about all those years of preparation and all that money that's been spent over the years for training, um, all the games, all the fees, anything that can go into it, food, travel, you name it, parents are paying it like crazy. And as they'll say, ROI, there's really no return on investment, right? In a matter of speaking. That return on investment, most parents are and student athletes are looking at potentially is that they're going to get some kind of a scholarship or grant and aid at a school. But sometimes it doesn't work out that way. So when we talk about that return on investment, you got to be really honest about this. As I sat in a group and I saw all the postings about all of these student athletes that, allegedly have all these wonderful skills and the videos and things like that, I wondered to myself, where was all this at 2, 3 years ago? Why are we waiting till these kids become seniors and then we want to become their biggest advocates? But yet, all the while, some people in the and want to put in the atmosphere that recruiting services are all bad. All recruiting services are not bad. It's about how it's that I guess you could say still that right fit, right? It's the same difference. Anytime you deal with any business, it's still about the right fit as to what that company can potentially do for you. So I say that to say this. If you are waiting to want to say now it's, oh, I have a student athlete for you, or the kid can do this, the kid can do that. Yeah, it's really, I'm sorry, it's really, really late in that process. What a recruiting service can do for you, it can help. It's the same as if you do anything else when you seek assistance, such as for your job. You seek professional development to further your career and your job. You take trainings, right? To get better at your jobs. You take leadership courses to get better in your job and to seek things such as being a supervisor potentially, right? It's the same thing with the recruiting process. A recruiting service can assist or should be assisting at least in this way. Whereas though, when the student athlete starts off, let's say you start off in the ninth grade, kids are great players, probably playing varsity in the ninth grade. Great. It's a great setup, right? And then what you start doing is you get with a recruiting service such as Facilitate the Process. And what you do is you follow exactly what's being told to you. You follow that timeline. We have a timeline within our software that all you do is every time when you go in the system and you're reaching out to coaches, coaches are replying to you. You're going to get a text message that lets you know that a coach has seen your profile, has replied to you, all of that great stuff. And then you can facilitate a conversation back and forth with that coach until it's taken off of the software, where you are directly communicating with the coach maybe via their phone or whatever, which is a great part of the process, right? So you have that set up there, right? And you start there very, very early. And what happens is then you start to build a good rapport with the coaches and the coaching staff. But what the software also does for you is it gives you pretty much good time management. If you were bad with time management, our software is the software for you. You get your student athlete would get their own website, not a website that's plastered with every other student athlete. It's a website all their own that they can make their once they put everything within the system on the website, on the back end of the website, they get their own website that they can forward to coaches. They can post it on social media. They can tag coaches directly from the software. And I think that's something that we may not have mentioned before, but is a great thing for them. If they're already using social media, they're already logged into their accounts. Well, once you get signed up and you go look at the software, you can click the specific social media tags to reach out to coaches directly from the software. You don't even have to leave the software to do this. But waiting till a student athlete gets into that senior year to say, "Oh, I have an unsigned student athlete for you." There are hundreds of student athletes out there that are unsigned. But also, you got to remember there are student athletes that are in that transfer portal. As I've said before, student athletes are still fighting with the student athletes that already have had the job. They're just trying to transfer into another place, right? They're trying to find a second and third right fit for some of them, right? But don't look at it as a recruiting service as something bad. Now, I will say that the downside to part of it is just that yes, it comes with a cost. It comes with a cost, but so did the hundreds of thousands of dollars that parents and guardians have spent to take their sons and daughters to a lot of these events, putting them on these teams, and they might not even getting all the minutes that they want, but that's all of that money was spent that way. So you should be looking at it like this. It's probably your last big investment into the um into that student athlete's athletic career. It's a heck of an investment, and you wanna get a return on that investment, no matter really how big or small, but you wanna get a return on that investment, right? You didn't do all of this for nothing. So, we want you to definitely look at our recruiting service as something that could help you. But more so today, this is really about the coaches and the athletic directors at some of the schools. We would love for you to, provide our link to your coach or your athletic director because we can help a lot of student athletes. If you that that will take you to our site. And right now, of course, everything comes at a cost. But right now, we do have a limited time offer where it's not breaking the bank whatsoever in the realm of what a lot of these services are charging folks. So, want you to go ahead, take a look at that, and I'm sure that you're going to like what you see. But we gotta stop waiting for these kids to get into that senior year. Why are we waiting to the senior year to start the recruiting process? It makes no sense. Whoever's advising you to wait or the time just flew by, okay, the time just flew by, it can be understandable. It can happen, right? But you can't wait till the kid gets in the 12th grade and decide that, oh, they're unsigned. We dropped the ball. Um, excuse me. Better pick that ball up real fast. Now, in the past, prior to having the software, I did a couple of some recruiting for some kids at the very last minute, and it was like a really, knockdown, drag out process. Um, so it can happen at the last minute as well. I don't want to, tell you that it can't, but the cards are stacked against you because of the recruiting process now, and the recruiting process is not the same as it used to be. And I'm watching in a lot of these groups where they're still giving the same tired information. And at some point, you have to be able to decipher between who's giving you BS and who's really telling you the real deal. Um, not telling I'm not telling you anything that's going to hurt you, but it all comes at a cost. You've already been paying, you've probably paid for a recruiting service 10 times over if you really think about what you've been putting out there to have your student athlete attend these events, the uniforms, everything over the past 3, 4 years, especially if they're a senior. You really gotta push this. You gotta get these kids in there early. They need help early in the process. It's not something that we should even be waiting on. And the sad part about it is that having to wait, having these kids wait in the process is just really, really detrimental to everything that we know to be the right thing. And if we can get that fixed, it would be it would be all for the better because recruiting service gets such a bad rap. No one really wants to really listen after a certain point. And that's sad because there's just so much help out there for these student athletes. And we really, really need to get them that help early. We need to for them to be able to beat the transfer portal. Um, it says here, beat the transfer portal, but hey, either beat the transfer portal or compete with it. But if you do nothing, you're definitely going to lose to the transfer portal. I'm here to tell you, coaches are still looking for student athletes. You got to remember that at some point, it's not all the student athletes, all the with the NIL and things like that. Coaches need role players as well. If you're going to be a role player and you still get a scholarship, what's the problem? You will have your parents will see a return on investment regardless. So we got to help these student athletes early. Talk to your coaches. Talk to your AD. We can assist schools and organizations with the recruiting process. That's where I want to say that we differ. We want to help individual student athletes, right? But we want to help schools. We want to help organizations as well because we know that if your kid is struggling, another kid is struggling. If those two kids are struggling, four kids are struggling. However, it's working, right? Not everybody's going to be that one that coaches just see. So we need to get your student athletes in front of these college coaches. And we really, really need to get it done. Um, we need to get it done now. It's not going too well. It's really, really not going too well. And we gotta figure out a way to make this better. I don't know how we can actually get this done for a lot of student athletes without the parents, without the coaches. We don't know because the recruiting process can't happen without the student athlete. But if the people that are making the decisions for these kids aren't getting together, such as what we want to do, how do we help them? I'll tell you how we don't help these student athletes. We don't help these student athletes by charging parents $2,000 and $3,000 a year just for them to have access to a software. I mean, I need somebody to make that make sense. There are places where they're charging thousands of dollars just for the parents to have access to the software. Hell, our access to the software is nowhere near that, but you're only going to get that access to the software, right? There are tiers to how we do things. And we do have a software only package. We do have two other packages that have a certain more, level of involvement with my team. And of course, our higher package is the one that has, I mean, it had loads and loads of information. But at the end of the day, what I'm telling you is no matter how you do it, we provide a service, we provide a software. And I think that even if you only just get the access itself, that's going to help you. That's definitely going to help you. Um, you definitely need a higher package than the software access itself, right? But I mean, we can discuss that. So once you go to the site, all you have to do is click on to talk to the coach and set up get on the calendar because my calendar is kind of booked. So, but get on the calendar sooner than later because as things go on, there's going to be a lot of spots that people don't cancel too many times on these calls. So yeah, I need you to be available for the call and please be on time for the call. And make sure it's a time that you are definitely available. I'm also available, of course, doing email as well. But it's easier to talk to you, to the parents, coaches, and ADs to figure out what is really needed. But at the end of the day, um, we're providing a service, just like anybody else does. Your cell phone bill, your internet, um, your credit cards. We're providing a service just like everyone else. But at the end of the day, what I'm really, really trying to get across to you is that we make the recruiting process affordable. And a lot of places probably don't like that we make it affordable. Um, we can only tell you what we do for us and how we want to see student athletes succeed. Um, we were doing it before a lot of those major changes with software and stuff like that. And now having the software makes it that much easier. You you can kind of put the process on cruise control for the most part, right? You put the process on cruise control, and then basically all you're doing is sitting back waiting for a coach to give you a call or a text, or once you see the coach responds to that a coach has read your profile, read the student athlete's profile, or anything, or saw one of their videos. Part of the strategies that we teach is once and I'll give you this one. Once you see that a coach has a particular coach or a school that has been targeted, if they have, if you can see that they responded to something or they read they saw your profile, either replied to you, they saw your video. So tell me why the student athlete can't just go to the social media button and tag that coach in a quick post or DM that coach. Send something to that coach, like even if they needed to send a follow-up video, right? That they had right then and there. Why they couldn't just do it in the software? Because that's allowable. They don't even have to leave the software to do that. And this is what I'm trying to tell you. It's a matter of convenience. Imagine having to do this whole entire process on your own with no help whatsoever. It's tough to do. And I used to do this by almost by paper and email only, right? So imagine having a software where lightning speed, your information, student athletes information can be out to the coaches. I mean, you really can't beat that. And when I say out to the coaches within our software, you're browsing for schools, you check the schools are then within your profiles, and then you send an email out to those coaches. The student athlete sending an email out to those coaches, right? It's not a software, it's not the recruiting service sending it out to hundreds, sending those same student athletes out to hundreds and hundreds of coaches. It's the student athlete's choice of where they want it to go. And the student athlete hits the button and they send it to where they need to go. That's another spot of where we differ. We don't dictate any of that. Student athlete chooses where that goes. Yes, within our packages and tiers, we do have things where we discuss the student athletes on a higher level about branding and how they're really targeting their schools. Yes, we do that, right? But ultimately, it's when that student athlete hits the button. In other words, I'm not sitting here with one kid, two, three, four, five, 10 kids, and then hitting a button to send the same information out to the same coaches. This is student athletes all across the country. When they get a chance on our software, they hit the button whenever they hit it, and it's getting into those coaches' email boxes, their inbox. It's getting there. Okay. So student athletes need that help early. We've got to start getting this done early. We are failing these student athletes by them getting to their senior year, and then we want to say, oh, they're unsigned, and then we're trying to run and get them into these additional events and all of these other things. And what is it costing us, parents? It's costing us more money. It's costing us more money. All right. So, as it says in the description, please get this out to your coaches, out to your ADs. As I said already, parents, if you want to interact directly with the recruiting process for your student athlete, this QR code right here will take you directly to the site. And I don't I try never to really talk about a lot of things about prices. I've never been that way. Um, but we have to be real. We do have things we need to do and pay for to get whatever, right? So that should be understood. But this is not about making a parent or a school or organization pay an exorbitant amount of money for the recruiting process. We just want you to be able to get that ROI, that return on investment for all of the money that you've spent over the years. And what we don't want to happen is we don't want you to get into that senior year and have to try to pay even more money for a process that should be winding down. I really, really hope that that makes sense. When you hit that senior year, it should be winding down. Student athletes should be able to enjoy that senior year, even though they may not get an offer until afterwards, however it works. But we would love for them to be able to go into that senior year enjoying it, not having to worry about being unsigned. Can some things happen for an unsigned senior? Oh yeah, they can. But why do that? Why put yourself and the student athletes into that bind? Why not just make it happen in the first 3 years? Let's do that. Let's try to make it happen in the first 3 years. Um, there are no guarantees that our software would help a student athlete get recruited. There are no guarantees that they would get signed. So anybody who's giving you guarantees that because you pay your money that this is what's going to happen, then you need to run. It is a red flag. It is definitely a red flag. So current QR code, check out what we have to offer. The links in the description. Please get that out to your coaches, to your ADs. We want to help student athletes in all sports all across the country. We want something that is so affordable to really be within arm's reach of all student athletes. So that being said, if you have any questions, you can reach out to me via email at Anthony at facilitatetheprocess.com. Anthony at facilitatetheprocess.com. That's where you can email me. As I said, when you go to the site, please hit on to talk to the coach and you can schedule, get on my schedule, get on my calendar. Please be on time. If you cannot hold that spot, um, please reschedule so it can open up for someone else. And I really look forward to continuing to have fruitful relationships with parents, student athletes, coaches, ADs. Let's get this done. We need to make things happen for these student athletes because as we've said over the years, many people, and myself included, have always said, trust the process. But at the end of the day, how can someone trust a process that's never been facilitated? Lastly, always remember that in the recruiting process, details matter.